We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. You've all heard that. You've probably seen it on a meme on Facebook or something. Yet as spiritual beings, we still have to take care of our physical bodies. Casey said, "For ye are made body, mind, and soul. They each have a part in thy oneness." So what Mr. Casey's saying basically is it's necessary for us to take care of all of it, right? Because they're all part of our oneness. And if we ignore our body, or we ignore our mind, or our energy, or our spirit, we're ignoring part of our oneness, who we are. We can't ignore a part. So Casey also said, soul development should take precedence over all things. And I get that. We all have a purpose in common of reawakening our spiritual awareness. And Casey gave us some tools, really helpful tools. They're called ideals. And we're going to learn more about ideals later, but ideals help us walk our spiritual talk. And that's important, but we're also made of energy, right? Energy. In Kevin Tedeschi's opening of his book on Noah, he writes about how all of God's stuff, God's source, Casey called it spirit, all spirit is love, right? So if we're made from God, if we're made of this spirit, we're just walking love bubbles. Our energy is love. We were devised as a very high energy, right? Spirit energy is very high vibration. But as we manifest into earth, as we came down and became solid, our vibrations fell. Our vibrations lowered. And so learning a little bit about chakras, our energy centers, you can see that on the slide, there's a little chakra lady there. When we learn about our chakras and how to support them, we can learn how to raise our vibration and get back to our love bubble status. Now, we also have mental, right? Our mind. It's part of us. Sometimes we want to deny that, but it's part of us. It has to do with this very common thing you'll see all over the walls of the Casey Center. Come visit us and you'll see it. It's right when you come in. It says, spirit is the life, mind is the builder, physical is the result. And so what Casey is saying is we are made of spirit, but our mind is what builds that. That physicality is our mental state. Thoughts are things. Our mental attitude can create heaven or Frankenstein. So someone once asked Casey, what's the cause of my fear and how can I overcome it? And his reply was, bringing your life into alignment mentally. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about how do we shift our mental attitudes and thereby, going back to energy, shift our vibration. But finally, we're physical. We are bodies. We need to take care of ourselves first. You know, as they say on the airplane, put the air mask, put that oxygen mask on yourself. We need to have strong bodies, physically, to be able to, in this point of time, deal with this virus thing. Casey had quite a bit to say on that, and we're going to talk about that next. So, what should you expect today? We're going to talk about some of the Casey health things. He had quite a few ideas. We're going to see alkalinity is key. We're going to learn how to protect your energy. We're going to talk about how to stay sane when everybody else in the world is crazed. And then tips to boot fear. what does that mean? There's a book that actually, it's a free digital download on the Casey organization site, edgarcayce.org. They're giving away this free book that Hugh Lynn wrote on Edgar Cayce on overcoming fear and anxiety. And so we're going to take some tips from that, and then we're going to boost our spirituality. And as we discussed, that is with ideals. So what is this body thing, right? What did Cayce tell us? Well, he told us a lot. And if you go on to edgarcayce.org, you'll see resources on this. But this is a quick kind of look at it. Cayce felt it was so important to maintain alkalinity. Especially, he said, lettuce, carrots, and celery. I have been eating so much lettuce, carrots, and celery recently. I don't know about anyone else, but if you know the Cayce stuff, you're staying alkaline. Because he felt that if there was alkalinity in the blood, it will help to immunize a person. If you want to know more about that, there's that reading number on there, 480-19. You just go to edgarcayce.org, and if you're a member, you can look that reading up. So what's the Cayce diet? Basically, it's simple. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's simple. Get plenty of fruits and vegetables, right? That's that building up the immune system. Making sure that you have a good mix of diet, limiting red meats and starches. Now, you'll notice, or limited amount, not eliminating, limit, not eliminate. Now, red meats and starches, that's a hard one for me. Not the red meat, that doesn't bother me, but starches, man, that's my go-to when I'm emotional. And we're going to be talking about energetically how to work with that, how to support that, and how starches can be healthy and not so healthy. But Cayce said, limit the amount of red meat and starches. He said, eat more of an alkaline-producing diet, and there's my picture of carrots. Here's my picture of carrots. Now, this is another one I have trouble with. Limit, he put it so sweetly, refrain from great quantities of sweets and pastries. But basically, stop eating the donuts, right? Limit. So if you're going to have something sweet, it's not saying deny, just take it easy, limit it. And then water, at least 6 to 8 glasses a day. But you know, these are basic healthy things. The Cayce diet isn't some bizarre thing. It's eat healthy, eat balanced, right? It's basically alkaline, it's keeping alkaline. Now for me, and I know many of you, drinking enough water can be hard, so maybe get some lemon and put some lemon in it, or get one of those infusers. That's what I got. And I got some organic strawberries, and I put it in the infuser, and I made strawberry water. Or if you've never had cucumber water, you don't know what you're missing. So there's a lot of ways to get that water into your diet. Now, it's more than what we eat or drink. There's a little goof up on my slide. There's more than what we eat or drink. Cayce said you need to have recreation too. So just ignore my little goof up on my slide. There must be a certain amount of rest and recreation. So it's not only what you eat with your body, but are you getting enough sleep? Are you going for walks, right? Walks are wonderful, or jogs if you're more athletic than me, maybe jogs. Fun. And then the food. It's like a puzzle. It's not just one piece. So what do you need? What's your fun? Have you given yourself permission to just have fun? And I will tell you, today you're going to be seeing a lot of things that I say you can do. But we are not human doings. We are human beings. And so just as this points out that we need to have a mix of recreation and fun and healthy food and sleep, we need to sometimes just be. We're going to talk about that more as well. Now, Cayce had a different view of the chakras. What we're going to talk about today are the chakras in a more traditional way, but I just wanted to show what Casey's chakras were. He called them energy centers. And when you read the Casey writings, one of the things that's helpful to know is what are the code words, right? We need a like a dictionary, a Casey dictionary, so that we know what words mean. When he talks about energy centers, he is talking about chakras. So for him, he had the gonads, the cells of Leydig, the adrenals, the thymus, the pineal, and the pituitary. And you can see there, and I'm not going to go into it today, but if you want, you can look up and find where Casey has suggested how to focus on a different chakra for different parts of the Lord's Prayer. He believed that, and it's just very, I've done it in the Search for God study group. He believed that saying the Lord's Prayer and focusing on the different chakras helped open up the chakra center. But today we're going to focus more on the traditional chakras, because this is the one that, first of all, I'm more versed in, and so I can share more with you. But it's also what I think most people are familiar with. So on the slide, you're going to see that we have the chakras. Each color represents a different chakra. What's a chakra? A chakra is basically a energetic spot in your body that processes and distributes energy. There are 7 main chakras, although you have hundreds of chakras. One you use when you're petting your cat or calming your child. The hand chakra is one that is used with energy work, and it's also used with sharing love. Oh, that's when we're hugging, we're chakra to chakra. It's a beautiful thing. So let me talk a little bit about chakras. So the base chakra, that's at the base of the spine, it's called the base or the root chakra, and it has to do with vitality. Now, with vitality, we think about what do we need now in this time of stress? We need to be vital. We need our energy up. But it's also associated with the gland, the adrenal gland. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. The second chakra, which is basically in the area of the reproductive organs, the sacral chakra has to do with sex and sociability. And so right now, you know, all the huggers in the world, we are struggling, right? We can't hug anybody. They actually sent something out through A.R.E. I just thought it was so beautiful, and it was like, I know we're a community of huggers, but let's not do that. I thought that was so good from Kevin. But anyway, so the second chakra, the sacral chakra, helps us be sociable. And so if you think about it, by supporting the second chakra, it's going to help us that can't hug people. Now, the third chakra is yellow. It's the solar plexus, and this is going to become the number 1 chakra that we're going to focus on today. The solar plexus is in between well, for us ladies, the bra line. For men, you got to figure it out, and the pelvic bone. It's right in between. Figure right above the belly button. We all have one of those. And it has to do with willpower, metabolism, and it's also the adrenal gland. The first and the third share the same gland. The heart chakra, we all know where the heart chakra is. It's in the heart. Self-explanatory, right? That has to do with love and compassion and the thymus. The throat chakra is communication, how we speak our truth, and that's the thyroid. The brow chakra, that's what we think of as the third eye. That has to do with intuition and the pineal gland. And the crown, that's at the top of the head, connection with divine. Now, how does this chakra stuff work? When we are processing energy, each chakra has a role. So let's say we're going to talk with our boss, and our boss, maybe she's a real toughie, right? So she's really one that exerts her personal will, and you want to stand up to it. Well, the two of you are going to be very active in the solar plexus, because that has to do with personal will. So the energy that the two of you are exchanging is going to come in the solar plexus. When I first met my husband, I had never loved that deeply. And when I first met him it went on for months, my heart hurt. My heart hurt. And then I realized it wasn't my heart, it was my heart chakra opening. It was stretching beyond its known boundaries. And if I had been aware, or a little bit more aware, maybe I would have supported that heart chakra a little bit more. The chakras deal with our energy, and then you'll see in the slide it shows a long line connecting them. That's called the Sushumna. You don't need to remember that. It's called the Sushumna, and the energy travels along it. And so the energy comes into our system, it's cleaned, and then it gets distributed along the Sushumna. So those are the chakras. Now you will notice that I have highlighted the base chakra, the solar plexus, the throat, and the crown, because you're going to see why next. Many people are not aware of how the chakras can work. The chakras can work along the Sushumna, right? So the energy goes up and down, but it also goes in a spiral. So the root chakra is connected to the crown chakra. The solar plexus is connected to the throat. The energy also goes in a spiral. And why are we focusing on the base, the solar plexus, and the throat chakra? Well, the base chakra is our vitality, right? It's our energy. It's connected to Mother Earth. We need to nurture that, because right now nothing is normal. And we need to bring normalcy into our life, and we tend to, when things aren't normal, get ungrounded. We're going to do some grounding later. But we can support that root chakra. We can help us to become more grounded. But remember I said the solar plexus is the most important one. The solar plexus has to do with our willpower, and our metabolism, and our ability to take action. Our ability to feel empowered. And right now, nothing is in our control, right? Nothing's in our control. So we need to be able to feel empowered from within, so that we don't freak out about having no empowerment outside of us. Also, remember I said I'm going to talk more about the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands, they basically deal with our fight and flight, right? When we get freaked out, we have this hypothalamus thing going on up in our brain, and it sends out the alarm. And it triggers our adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands start pumping all sorts of hormones. We get the adrenaline. That's what gives us the energy to go. And we also get something called cortisone. And cortisone is tricky. Cortisone can reduce inflammation. It can do a lot of good things. But cortisone reduces our immune system. It thinks it's doing the right thing, but it's not when we need our immune system. So that's why supporting both the first and the third chakra become even more important during this time, because we do not want to do anything that would take away from our strong immune system right now. So, and then the throat chakra, remember the circle, the base is connected to the crown. We're going to talk about taking care of our spiritual connection later. But the throat and the base, the solar plexus are connected. And so with that, when we need to support the solar plexus, we also want to support the throat. Let me explain it in a way that may make more sense. What happens is, in this spiral, the connecting chakra one drains the other, or one supports the other. Now, I'm going to tell you a story why love is blind. The third eye, or brow chakra, is connected with the sacral chakra, which, remember we said was sex and sociability. So when you first meet someone new, your second chakra is going, oh, you know, this is fun. I haven't been with people in a while. You know, can we become more connected? The sacral chakra is draining all the energy from that third eye, because it's all thinking about itself. And so we can't see clearly. But then you're in the relationship for a little while, you know, sex and sociability isn't such as a big deal. You're getting used to having a partner for the wedding and other things. And all of a sudden, that gives some energy to the third eye, which is your intuitive, and your intuition opens up and you can see things clearly and you're like, what was I thinking? And that, my folks, is why love is blind, because all the energy goes from your intuitive down to your second chakra when in the beginning of a relationship. So the same thing happens with the throat and the solar plexus. When the adrenal glands and the solar plexus is feeling threatened, it takes all the energy from the throat. How do we give more energy? We support the throat. So that's why we're going to talk about today how to support the base chakra, the solar plexus, and the throat chakra. So now, I'm not quite sure why my slides are being a little wonky. All right, but we will work with it. Okay, so the sacral chakra, not the sacral, the root, the solar plexus, and the throat. These are chakra associations. When we support one chakra, we can then support other chakras, right? So when we want to support the root, we look at the associations. The associations are survival, vitality. The color is red. The food is protein. The element is earth. We already talked about the adrenal gland. The tone is O. The verb is I have. And just for fun, I put the seven dwarfs. The dwarf of the first chakra is grumpy. I'll tell you all of them at the end. So what do we do with this? If I want to support the root, I may choose to wear red shoes or red socks or red panties or a red brassiere, you know, whatever. I could wear a red scarf. I could use a red crystal. I may, if I want to support my root, eat more protein. Now remember, Casey said to watch out, you know, to limit your red meat, but he does not say to limit your protein. And there are a million different ways to get protein without eating a lot of red meat. If the element is earth and I want to support my root chakra, maybe I'm going to go take a walk and do a walking meditation, focusing on connecting to the earth. Or I'm going to tone, oh, that vibrates and resonates with the chakra. Or I'm going to look at my, remember, mind is the builder. I'm going to look at my vocabulary. Where am I saying I don't have? We already started out with I don't have control. So whenever that I have gets turned upside down to I have not, it's threatening or activating the root chakra. What about solar plexus? I'm not going to go through each one because, you know, we don't need to. I want you to have the idea. But the color's yellow. Maybe get a citrine. Now, I know the bookstore may be closed physically, but you can still get things online. Maybe have them, see if they have a nice citrine necklace or a piece of citrine crystal. Now, carbohydrates. When I get stressed, I go to the cookie jar. It's just the way it is, right? Me and carbohydrates have such a love-hate relationship because then I feel guilty and, you know, and then the whole thing. When we're looking at chakras and balancing, we want to balance it. So with earth, the food, with rooting, the food was protein. We don't want to eat so much protein and nothing else, right? We want to balance. Same thing here with carbs. You want to have a little carbs, but focus on your healthy carbs, not necessarily your cookie jar carbs. Now, there's a fabulous visualization that I'm going to suggest to you, and because fire is the element of the solar plexus. And if we want to have more willpower, if we want to have more I can, which is the verb, we want to work with fire. But, you know, you have to be careful with working with fire, you know. So this is my suggestion. Get a small birthday candle. I'm sure you have one lying in the junk drawer. A small birthday candle, put it in, don't eat whatever. If you put it in a cake, don't eat the cake. But maybe put it in some sand or something, or a little holder, small birthday candle, and just watch the fire burn away the wax. And as you're watching the fire burn away the wax, imagine it is burning what you feel is not working for you right now. So let's say you're afraid. Maybe you're afraid of germs, right? So I'm going to watch this wax burn away my fear of germs. Maybe you're afraid of, or maybe it doesn't have to be fear. Maybe you're feeling like your heart's closed down right now. So maybe we're going to watch the seal that maybe you've put on your heart burn away as you watch the candle burn down. Now, you're not going to watch the whole candle because that's going to take forever, right? Maybe 2 to 3 minutes. But throughout maybe a week, watch that flame and do that intention that it burns through, whether it's a fear, an anxiety, or something you feel is blocking you. And then just throw it away. We can use any association to help us empower. Throat, the color is light blue. So very often when I'm speaking, throat has to do with communication, creativity. Very often when I'm speaking, you'll see I wear some form of light blue because it's supporting my throat chakra. The food is fruit. Again, this doesn't mean you're going to become a fruitarian, right? You know, you balance the fruits. So what we can do for us energetically is support these 3 chakras. And if you email me at cindytarot@me.com, I will send you this chart unless you want to rewind or pause the video and take a picture of it. But to support those chakras is very important. So you can either pause right now and kind of take a picture of this. It says personal will under solar plexus. And then you'll know how to support yourself energetically. Now, as I said, another way to support your energy is by grounding. And there's many ways to ground. Think of a tree, right? A tree roots itself deep into the earth. And when a storm comes, the tree doesn't topple over most of the time. Maybe it's been wet out, or maybe the roots have degraded, or the soil's degraded, but most of the time it roots you in deep. But it also feeds the tree. Those roots feed the tree. When we're rooted to the earth, we can't be blown around. We can't, our anxieties and our fears and all that are not going to affect us as much. And we're also going to feel more nurtured. And so I'm going to suggest a grounding exercise that will help with that. And so you can do this along with me, or you can just listen. It's up to you. But I'd like you to do this, especially first thing when you get out of bed. Right? In the morning, you wake up, and before you jump out of bed, maybe your alarm's gone, just give yourself a minute, because this doesn't take more than a minute. But I want you to imagine like a tree has roots. You have roots coming out of the bottom of your feet, right out of the soles of your feet. Imagine those roots grow deep into the earth. I always find a big, deep cleansing breath helps as well. But imagining that your roots are growing deep into the earth, and as they grow, just like if you've ever seen a carrot before they've peeled it, it's got little tiny roots growing off of the carrot. Allow those roots to spread. Feel Mother Earth offering you nutrients. As you breathe in, feel yourself filled, bringing up through those roots Mother Earth energy. And allow those roots to continue growing downward until you come imagining in your imagination to the center of the earth. Oh, that's nurturing Mother Earth energy. And like a straw, with each in-breath, bring up that energy. Bring up that energy. Allowing that energy to flow through the straws or the roots, up through your feet, into your legs, into the base of your butt, through your body, through your trunk, so to speak, and out the top of your head, cleansing and clearing, and allowing you to be totally nurtured by Mother Earth. Now, as you see, that didn't take long at all, did it? So you can do that every morning. It'll help you to feel grounded, nurtured, and connected. And let's say you're having a clumsy day, or all of a sudden you realize you've been caught up in drama or frantic, even if it's your own. Just stop, and you don't need to do the whole exercise again. Just feel your roots. It's amazingly healthy. Casey also taught us about vibration. He said life, God, everything in essence is vibration. It's so easy to get caught up in somebody else's vibration. What does that mean? You've been standing next to someone and said, I don't like their vibe, right? They're giving off a weird vibe. That's their vibration. That's their energy. Everything vibrates. This table vibrates. Well, you can't see the table, but the table behind me vibrates. You are vibrating. Your computer's vibrating. Everything vibrates. The difference of vibration, or the difference between you, me, the table, and your computer, is the level of vibration. Think of it this way. If you have ice, water, and steam, they're all H2O, right? The only difference is their level of vibration. Ice is vibrating very slow and low. Water is more flowy. And steam is vibrating very high. You can't even catch it, right? It's like the fog. You walk through the fog and you can't catch it. So everything is vibrating. This is what Mr. Casey's saying. Everything is vibrating. And the difference is the level of vibration. Now, we have something called induction. And this is when you're standing next to somebody in the elevator, this is when you realize somebody's got a bad vibe. Everything gives off its vibration. Everything gives off vibration. And we have the ability through induction to take on that vibration. There's also, though, thank goodness, the law of vibration. And in the law of vibration, it teaches us that the stronger vibration will overcome or shift the weaker vibration. I'd love to say it's the higher vibration does it, but it is not. And you've seen that when you are in a bad mood and you go to see your friend who's just really fun and happy, and all of a sudden you're in a good mood, right? If that person is stronger in their vibration than your bad mood, they will shift and bring up the vibration. So the law of vibration says the stronger vibration will shift or affect the lower vibration. It also shows us that we can shift or change our own vibration. And we do that through the law of polarity. Now, I'm going to give you some more examples of these, so don't worry. But the law of polarity says that basically there are, let's take that person that's in a good mood, right? And you're in a cranky mood. Cranky mood, good mood. What's the difference? They're all mood. It's just, is it a low vibration mood or is it a high vibration mood? The law of polarity teaches us that if we add more of what we want of that, in example, mood, it's going to shift the other. So the way we shift vibrations is through the law of polarity, but you are going to know how to do that by the time we're done. And I just want to remind you, we are not victims. We are not victims of other people's energy. We are not even victims of our own energy. We have the ability to use will. Casey says that will is so important. Our willpower is how we shift. Go back, what was willpower? Solar plexus chakra. Let's support the solar plexus chakra. So why do other people's vibrations affect you? Well, remember that induction, right? So how does it work? If you go into a house that's cooking cookies, you can smell them when you walk in the door. The smell or the vibration of cookies radiates. Also, If you're driving along, what is that? Skunk. You don't need to see a skunk to know there's a skunk somewhere. But how that vibration affects you depends on your relationship to it. So if you love cookies, you are going to be like, and it's going to raise you up to be really happy, right? So also, your relationship to the vibration matters. If you are, maybe you are doing keto and you can't have cookies, or you can't have those cookies that Aunt Mary's baking, then you may find that you have a negative, those cookies. It depends on your reaction to it. So now, how do we actually use this law of polarity? Let's say we have, we'll call him Joe. Let's say we have Joe here, he's really stressed out. How do we get Joe to be mellow Joe, right? How do we turn stressed out Joe to mellow Joe? We add calm, right? It's just like if the bathtub's too hot, you add cold. That's how we use the law of polarity. We add the opposite vibration to shift. Now, we see this with the vibration of ice cubes, water, and steam. If we want to shake up that ice cube, if we want to shift that ice cube, ice is cold, we add hot. And eventually, enough hot, we'll have steam. So what if you're the one freaking out? What if it's like, I have not caught someone else's fear virus, or fear or anxiety virus, or cranky virus. I haven't caught it from somebody else. What if it's within you? Well, I'm going to give you, we're going to actually do one. I'm going to talk about the pressure valve first, because we're going to do the one with all that gold. One of the things that you can do is through meditation or intention. Imagine in a visualization, if you're not visual, don't worry, just pretend. You don't have to see it. But imagine that there's a valve. And using the law of polarity, if I'm freaking out, what do I need? What is the opposite of freaking out? For some, it may be faith. For some, it may be calm. For some, it may be a friend, right? What's the opposite of freaking out for you? And so that what you do is you can imagine or pretend that you've got this valve and bring into your imagine or pretend the energy of the opposite. So for me, when I'm afraid, faith is my opposite. And so I may see this, okay, fear, I'm going to get sick or whatever it is, you know. If I get sick, you know how your brain goes, then so-and-so gets sick, it just, you know, your brain goes crazy. And imagine my faith. Let go, let God. Let go, let God. And actually see your meter go to the other side. It's a beautiful visualization. But let's do an exercise right now. Now, as you can see on the screen, we have this outline of a person. You don't have to meditate like a pretzel. You don't have to bend like a pretzel. But we have a little guy meditating and golden light streaming. Well, the meditation we're going to do is we're going to imagine golden light coming in through the crown and radiating, and then radiating outward. So we can either explode it out and clear our energy that way. But if we're the one freaking out, we're not trying to clear our energy of somebody else, right? We want to bring that energy in. So what we're going to do is we're going to swirl that golden light all around, and then we're going to expand it out. So let's just take a minute. If you don't want to close your eyes, you don't have to. But I want you to imagine, pretend, or know that beautiful golden light. I think of it as God's unconditional love. Beautiful golden light is coming in through the top of your head, the crown, and filling your entire body. Just imagine that golden light flowing all around, filling you with love, filling you with safety, filling you with God's unconditional love. There is not anything that you could ever have done, thought, or been that would make God not love you. You are loved unconditionally. You are loved in entirety. Allowing that loving vibration to flow around through you, you fill up like a golden balloon. And as that golden light continues to flow in, allow it to seep out and form a golden bubble, maybe 3 to 6 feet in front of you, above you, filled with that loving embrace. 3 to 6 feet side to side, behind you, below you, as if you were getting an amazing angel hug. And allow that golden light to filter through all of you, knowing that in this moment you are safe and you are loved. Now we're going to allow that to dissipate. And I always like to keep a little bit of that loving energy in my heart. And you're going to see why later. So we should be all calm moving forward. The golden light, you can do that in a couple seconds. We took a little longer, but you can do that rather quickly. Another thing I love when teaching about the chakras is that the third chakra, remember we keep coming back to the solar plexus, has to do with empowerment. And sometimes empowering is just doing something, right? Taking some sort of action. But sometimes taking action means stop doing something. Maybe you're starting to do something, maybe you're stopping to do something. But still, it's doing something. So let's say you're watching the news in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, and then in the middle of the day, you're checking the news on your phone. Maybe you need to stop that. Maybe that's too much. Maybe you feel you've been avoiding the news, but you feel uneducated. Maybe you need to start watching a reputable news. Not Facebook. Not reputable. Maybe you need to start watching the news. Maybe you need to stop eating M&Ms so you're not beating yourself up for things. Or maybe eat the M&Ms, but start eating some healthy salads to go along with them. Start or stop something. It empowers the solar plexus. It empowers you. When you are empowered, you have more tools to deal with the fact that you don't have a lot under your control right now. Remember I said Facebook? Okay. You are allowed to snooze someone. Now, I'm an Apple gal. I have an iPhone, so this is for Apple. I understand that they call it take a break from someone on Android. And instead of going to those 3 dots I have demonstrated on your Apple, for Android, you go to the person's name, you click on it, and it gives you an opportunity to take a break. It's okay. I have been taking a break from so many people lately. I do not want to know. Remember, too much information sometimes isn't helpful. I don't want to know how many people have been diagnosed, how the numbers have gone up. Then a lot of the numbers have gone up because we're testing more people. Of course the numbers are going up. But it makes me fearful sometimes until I remember we're testing more people. Of course the numbers are going up, and this reflects weeks ago when they weren't testing people. So it makes sense, but still it puts me in a state of anxiety. So I hide those people. I don't want to see abused puppies. I snooze them, but I love them. If I want to really see what they're up to, I'll go to their Facebook page. Now, another thing that's interesting is, at least in Apple, I don't know where you'd find it in Android, you can find support for or report a post. So if you think a post is fake and trying to scare people, you can actually report it. Just FYI. But it is okay to do what you need to do, whether that means that I make a group up and I only look at the positive people on Facebook, and if I want to know what negative Nellie is doing, I'll click on her page quickly and then get away because it's too negative. You know, give yourself permission. I'm using Facebook as an example. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's trying to discuss with a mate how to handle this situation when they are either the denier or the paranoid person. I tend to more be the paranoid person, but anyway, I figure be careful, better be safe than sorry. But maybe discussing it with them doesn't help. So stop. It's okay. Right? It's okay. Do what you need to be able, and this is part of empowerment, stop or start. Do what you need to do to empower you to have the most skills to get through this time. And I tell you, this is a time. This is not forever. It's just not. But we still have to get through today. So, I've been snoozing quite a few. Calming meditations and affirmations. Let's just talk about some of these meditations. And remember, I told you to keep that golden ball in your heart. You're going to see why. Breath. Breath meditation. Can we just take a breath? Whew. I live with a husband who only has one functioning lung. And so every once in a while I just have to remember, breathe, Cindy, because I'm empathic. And so I'm connecting to Mr. Wung Lung, you know, who doesn't breathe fully. Sometimes I just remember to breathe, right? Now we can do breathing meditation. There are a million breathing meditations. Maybe a breathing meditation we may combine with a walking meditation, right? What's a walking meditation? You don't have to be out in nature, although, boy, that's better. Let's say we're doing a walking meditation. Walking meditation is basically just putting each foot down, and connecting with the earth, lifting it up, bringing earth energy up, stepping down, connecting with the earth, lifting up the other foot, bringing the energy in. But what if we combine that with breathing? So, exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. One of the things we know is that this coronavirus is a respiratory illness, or it ends up being a respiratory illness. And so the more that we can deep breathe and keep our lung passages open, the less we're going to fall into a pneumonia or something. And so deep breathing, whether you do it with walking meditation or not, is a great combination. We already discussed the golden light, bringing that golden light into our body as God's unconditional love, stretching it out, expanding it, and then letting it fade. Now, what about the blessing meditation? Let's say you know you're going into a stressful situation. Maybe it's a day from now, an hour from now, a week from now. There is no space or time in the divine world. So we can send blessing to us now, we can send blessing to the past, or we can send blessing to the future. And so what if we were to take this golden light, remember God's unconditional love, feel it in our heart, feel that love. Just makes me calm just feeling it. And imagine you have so much love in your heart that it forms this golden ball of light. And then imagine throwing it at yourself in the future during that difficult time. Grocery shopping, right? Oh, I've got to go grocery shopping. I know that's an anxiety for me. I'm going to, before I leave, or maybe right before I go into the grocery store, I'm just going to, and I'm also going to surround myself with golden light. It's a protective energy as well. And then I'm going to send that to my future self so that I'm being radiated by the golden light during my grocery shopping. Casey has a bunch of meditations, and you can go on to edgarcasey.org and Google, just put meditation in the search, and John Van Auken's going to come up everywhere. Or we'll see some other resources at the end. But affirmations, we can use affirmations. Let me be a channel of blessings upon all I come in contact with. Let me be a blessing. A channel of blessing. Let me be a channel of blessing. What does that mean? You're asking God to allow the blessing to come through you and out so that you become the conduit of God's grace. We say these affirmations so rotely. Yes, let me be a channel of blessings upon all I come in contact with. From 6 feet away, by the way. But think about it. What are you asking? And then imagine God filling you up, or the divine, whatever your word for God is. We all have different words, but imagine yourself being filled up and then radiating out God's grace. What a gift for the giver as well as the receiver. Or maybe I am whole and healthy. Or I have faith in myself. I have faith in the divine. Where's your faith lie? It may be with a divine being. It may be in your own ability to take care of yourself. So calming meditations and affirmations, those just give you a few. Boot fear, stay calm, and wash your hands. I love the title of this slide. So someone said to Mr. Casey, it's easy to say don't worry, but how might a person prevent it? How do we not get worried? Because it's easy to say, don't worry. So Casey said, by keeping control of the mind, not only through the very will of self, but by keeping occupied in doing something for others. What a concept! Get out of your own place. Do something for someone else. But I want you to look at this word, through the very will of self. What is that? Solar plexus, willpower. So even Casey is telling us the importance of keeping our willpower strong. We do this through willpower. Now, remember I mentioned that book? Hugh Lynn wrote it. Edgar Casey on Overcoming Fear and Anxiety. You can get it through the A.R.E. If you can't find it online, just send them an email. They will send you the digital. It's free. I got some of these ideas from that. So the first one is set up and work with spiritual ideals. We're going to talk about ideals later. Remember, it's how we walk our spiritual talk. Our ideals are our defining principles and values. Focus on constructive thoughts. That's that positive thinking. That's that positive thinking. Now, positive thinking does not mean that everything is unicorns and sparkles. Because right now, life is not very unicorny, right? Positive thinking has more to do with being in integrity with you and your environment, yet being aware of what's great around you. So today, here I am filming this for you. I had to come out of my house, right? I could have gone into fear. But I thought, what are the positives here? A, I know that everyone here is, well, all the people here, it's 2 people that they have with me right now, which is positive thinking, because I know I'm not in a room full of people. Positive thinking, I am getting an opportunity to give a gift. I'm being of service. Now, does that mean that I don't wash my hands? No. Does that mean I'm not taking care of myself? No. But it means that I am allowing myself to focus on the positive, but I'm not Pollyannic. I'm not denying that I need to wash my hands and make sure everything's clean. Use the mind to influence the body. That was another tip that Casey gave in this book. Use the mind to influence the body. That's that affirmations. That's paying attention to where your thoughts are. Cultivate systematic control of thought. That's a really good one. How do we do that? One of the things that I suggest is check in with yourself. Have something like I have on my iWatch that tells me to breathe once in a while. So when I find a way to systematically connect into myself and evaluate how are my thoughts, I'm more likely to do it. Kind of like exercise. I have to put exercise on my calendar 3 days a week. It says walking, 10 to 11. I don't always do it, but it reminds me I should. Well, I don't want to should on myself. None of us should on ourselves, right? We don't need that. But anyway, it reminds me. It helps me to create a systematic reminder, and that's what Casey's talking about. Cultivate systematic control of thought. If you check in with yourself, mindfulness, right? If you check in with yourself, it'll be okay. Use inspirational reading. What inspires you? And if you don't know what inspires you, this is a positive use for Facebook. Put on Facebook, need inspirational readings. I need something inspirational to read. You will get, if you have friends like mine, 100 different ideas for inspirational reading. And so many books in libraries right now are online. Maybe you don't have it in your own library, but I bet you can find some of it. Watch your dreams. So one of the things I like to do is to set a pre-sleep suggestion. And so let's say I'm in fear, right? This is all about how to boot fear and stay calm. I might say in my pre-sleep suggestion, show me the underlying source of my fear. Because if you know the underlying source, then you can stop or start something and empower yourself to take an action, right? Sometimes if we realize that a fear comes from an early child thing, then we can say, hey, using our mind, I'm an adult now. That's a fear that comes from childhood. I know right now that there are no boogeymen in my closet today. I may not have known that when I was 5, but I know that now. And so my fear of closets, I'm a grown-up. I can handle that now. So sometimes if we can recognize the underlying source of our fear, right? We can use our mind, but we can do that through dreams. And then, I love this one. Number 8, develop a sense of humor, right? Sometimes we are just way too serious. Sometimes we just have to laugh. And whether it's getting a funny movie or allowing yourself to make a joke, it's okay. We don't have to be serious all the time. So let's talk about those ideals. An ideal is a motivating pattern that guides our life. You see on the slide, we have these gears, right? Let's say your ideal is patience, and we're going to talk about how you figure out what your ideal is, but let's say your ideal is patience. It's kind of like you would say, remember there was a whole thing, what would Jesus do? What would Buddha do? What would patience do? So let's say I'm driving, not in today's world, because the beaches hopefully are not so crowded, although I heard it differently this weekend. Let's say I'm driving down, if you've ever been to Virginia Beach, our beach drag is called Atlantic Avenue. We're on the Atlantic shore, that makes sense. So let's say I'm driving down Atlantic Avenue and the car in front of me stops short. Now, I want to practice my ideal. What would patience do? Patience would just wait, right? So if I take action based on my ideal, I wait. But let's say I'm not using my ideal, I get impatient and I drive around and I have to slam on the brakes because There's a tourist going across, not on a crosswalk. It happens. And now my pocketbook is in the front, you know, that well, where all ladies' pocketbooks end up when you slam on the brakes, right? So let's go back to this slide. If your ideal is patience and you take action based on that, the result is you do not have your pocketbook spilled all in the front well of your car, right? The result is based on the actions you took, which were based on your ideal. And that is spirit is the life, mind is the builder, physical is the result. Spirit is the potentiality that comes forth from God. It is the building blocks of all creation. It is love. Mind is the builder. Mind builds that. What's an example of that? In the morning you wake up, you have the potential. You have the potential in the morning to be anything. Could be a great day, it could be a crummy day. But let's say your husband snores or your cat slept in the middle of the bed and you didn't get a good night's sleep. Well, here you go, you're cranky. And your mind starts forming your potential into cranky. The result, physical is the result, you have a cranky day. What's that called? I got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, right? Our mind builds our reality. When we use our ideals to feed our mind, our results is that we live a life where we are walking our spiritual talk. So how do you do it? How do you do ideals? Well, first thing you do, this is a little chart I have. You can draw this up at home. First you do is you pick an ideal. Then you decide where to practice it, what mental attitude would help, and what physical action can you take, right? Now, how do you come up with an ideal? You think of who do you respect? Who do you respect and what trait do you respect about them? They could be dead, they could be alive, they could be a cartoon character, it doesn't really matter. It could be Mother Teresa, right? My ideal personally is kindness. I feel like if I can be kind, that would make the world better. So anyway, you pick an ideal and you decide an area to practice it, what mental attitude would help, and what physical actions are you going to take. So let's say that the physical ideal is patience. We decide to practice it at the grocery store. The headspace we need is understanding and mindfulness. And the physical action you can take, well, we'll get to that. So here we are. We have where in the grocery store, the ideal is patience, and we figure if I could have the attitude of mindfulness and understanding, maybe I could be more patient in the grocery store. But you got to walk your talk. So for mindfulness, I'm going to do deep breathing at the end of each aisle and check in with myself. I'm going to do deep breathing at the end of each aisle and check in with myself. And for understanding, I am going to remember a time when I was living in fear or stress so that I can kind of understand what people are going through. And then I am going to remember that not everyone has the same coping skills as I do. And so if I could do that, if I could remember people aren't maybe having my coping skills, not that my coping skills are great, this is an example, right? Remember a time that I was in fear so I can remember what's going on. Why are people buying toilet paper? I've been in fear sometimes. Toilet paper wouldn't be what I picked. Remember, carbohydrates. I'd make sure I have enough cookies. There would be a run on cookies. And that deep breathing. Anytime that you can practice deep breathing through this whole coronavirus thing is great, because not only does it bring you back to center, not only does it help you ground, not only does it help you come back into the present moment, it's good for the lungs. So we have worked with our spiritual ideal, and I am walking my spiritual talk up and down the aisles of the grocery store now. Maybe maybe I sent a little blessing ahead so that I can have something for myself too. Power of prayer. That's my mom. That's my mom. This was her when she came to visit. So she is now 92. Yeah, she was probably 89 there. She's now 92, and Mom's memory is not too good. So my mom was forgetting her medication. She ended up in the hospital because she hadn't taken her blood pressure pills, for her heart. And so they said she's going to have to go into assisted living. We don't want my mom in assisted living. She couldn't have her cat, and I don't want her cat. No, I'm only joking. Somebody would take the cat if needed, but we don't want her in assisted living. We want her in senior living, where she can have her own apartment. And so we got her this machine. It looks like a alien ship, right? We got her a machine that screams and alarms when it's time to take her medication. So I order it. I'm the money person. That's how I help the family. I take care of all the money. And my sister is the do-it person, right? She lives closer. My mom lives like 8 hours away. So she drives up and she installs the machine, gets it ready, and doesn't think to test it. So I get a call from my mom at like 10 o'clock at night. I think that's when we had that alarm going. And I hear, bah, bah, the alarm. She's like, I don't know how to turn it off. And I'm like, take your pills. I took my pills. And I'm like, I don't know how to turn it off. I just bought the thing. I didn't figure out how it works. And I'm like, well, try unplugging it. And so she unplugs it. And then we realized it's got a battery backup. So that didn't work. So we plugged it back in. And finally I said, Mom, I don't know. Put a pillow on it. It's in the bathroom. Close the bathroom door and go take your hearing aids out. Okay. And so I'm worried. I am really worried. I'm worried that the thing I bought her to keep her out of the hospital and to keep her alive was going to kill her and give her a heart attack because of this alarm going off, right? So I'm worried. And then I remember Casey. Casey comes in at the best times. I remember, why worry when you can pray? So I said, okay. I call God Divine Spirit. We all have our different names. So I said, Spirit, you got to fix this. Please help my mom and help that this does not hurt her in any way, whatever. And I can't say I was 100% calm, but I was much less worried. Let's put it that way. And about 15, 20 minutes later, it must have been 20 minutes later, 20 minutes later, 15, 20 minutes later, I get a phone call. And you can tell my mom doesn't remember quite why she's calling me, but she's calling me. And so I said, well, what about the alarm? And she goes, alarm? And she goes, oh, it stopped. Because then it came back to her. Oh, it stopped. Turned out that the alarm only goes for 20 minutes. But we didn't know that, right? It turned out you have to close the little door on the alien spacecraft so that it knows that you've taken your pills. The story isn't about my mom's pills, right? The story is about why worry when you can pray. When I think that God had her call me so that I didn't worry. Because she couldn't really remember why she was calling me. But we both got a great night's sleep, and the next day we figured out, I didn't figure it out, somebody else figured out how to turn it off. Another thing, Casey defines prayer as the concerted effort of the physical consciousness to become attuned to the consciousness of the Creator. And again, all the little quote numbers are there if you want to see, read more about them. And when I first saw this, it brought me so much peace. Because I always thought when I was praying, it was like blowing up smoke signals. Well, I hope God's paying attention, because I'm praying. But that's not what Mr. Casey says. He says the concerted effort. And so when I was doing, because I also do a survey lecture on prayer, right? So I thought, I know what concerted means, but what does concerted mean? Concerted effort. Concerted means in concert with, together, at one. And so what this told me is that I am not blowing up smoke signals. When I get into that sacred place of prayer, even if it's on the highway, because I don't know about you, but I pray the most, I think, when I'm driving. Anyway, when I get into that sacred place of prayer, I know that God is Not that I see God as a man on a throne, but that God is going down going, what? What are you saying? It's concerted. But even more, why are we praying? We're praying to bring our consciousness into alignment with the divine, raising our vibration. It's such a beautiful way. I'll read it to you one more time. The concerted effort of the physical consciousness to become attuned to the consciousness of the Creator. That's how Casey defines prayer. I want my psyche in alignment with the divine, because then I can be a co-creator with God, and I can be in alignment, and I know that the vibration of God is love. And so how better to be a blessing to all that I meet. Now, I want to do a different prayer. Divine Spirit, help us to feel your healing presence in this time of struggle. We ask for your help to stop the spread of this coronavirus and to bring healing to those impacted physically, mentally, and emotionally. Strengthen us and assist us to maintain a high vibration, even while surrounded by the fears of others, and as we face our own fears, so we can be a channel of blessing to others. Relieve our fears so we can be calm for others. Help us to be strong so we can be strong for others. Bring us peace so we can radiate peace to others. Let us be beacons of light for those who need calming reassurance that although we may be overwhelmed now, this struggle will eventually pass. Fill us with light so we can be beacons of light to the entire world. We ask with humility that we stay physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy. Show us how we can make the most of this opportunity to also grow spiritually. On a very personal level, as we are forced to stop our busy lives, you know we are forced to see and acknowledge all that we have been running from. Grant us the ability to release judgment of ourselves and others. Finally, as you spread your healing for the coronavirus across the planet, also give us the strength and courage to accept our circumstances while maintaining a positive attitude so we can be a blessing to all we come in contact with from at least 6 feet away. And remember, help us to remember that gratitude, faith, laughter, kindness, and love are the best healers of all. Now, I'd also like to do a meditation. Meditation was Casey's, I feel anyway, deepest connection to the divine. Prayer is my deepest connection to the divine, but meditation, I feel, was Casey's. And so let me read a meditation to you. And just, you can close your eyes or you can leave them open, whatever you feel most. But imagine healing divine light filled with love coming from above and flowing into your crown chakra, the top of your head. Use whatever color you imagine that divine healing light to be. Overflowing with divine love, this healing divine light brings comfort and heals all ills on all levels, including bringing healing energy for those affected by the coronavirus. As this healing divine light flows into your being, feel your body filled with love. Feel yourself being comforted and healed as it spreads throughout your body. Allow this healing divine light to soothe your fears, helping you feel calm and full of hope, helping you body, mind, and spirit. Feel the divine healing light center in your heart chakra and imagine that love and light flowing out from your heart, embracing and healing your entire home, spreading love and comfort. Healing all who come in contact with that light, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Knowing that divine light of love continues to flow through you, expand it to encompass your community. Sense its loving energy comforting and healing the elderly, the homeless, the lonely, the fearful, and the overwhelmed. That loving divine healing light, healing friends, family, children, healing the caregivers, doctors, nurses, and first responders. Expand it now to encompass your country. Sense it healing all the truckers delivering the food and the workers who can't stay home. Watch it as it comforts and supports and heals the emotional and financial stress of those forced to stay home. Sense the healing divine light of love surrounding the politicians, empowering them to make the best choices for all those concerned. Now expand that loving light to encompass the world. See a wave of divine light, of love, flowing over the entire world as you sense it healing the sick, as it soothes and calms the fears and overwhelming emotions of the entire world's population. Healing, loving, and supporting Gaia as she works to support all of us. Knowing the healing, divine light of love continues to flow through you and has bathed the world, allow it to come back to yourself. Allow your light and your love to be refreshed and increased, so that as you move forward in your life, you are a beacon of love and light and blessings to others. And come on back. Now, you don't have to use my words. You got the energy or the feeling of that meditation. You can do it any time. Gosh knows the world needs that type of loving divine light. And whatever it looks like to you. Some people like white light. I'm a golden light gal. Maybe you're a violet light. Whatever works, whatever you imagine is healing and divine. And don't worry if you're not visual. Just sense or know or pretend. Not everybody can see. So I want to finish up with some resources. All right, so we have edgarcayce.org. You probably know that one already. You probably even know the one that's edgarcayce.org/online. So if you want to find the online resources, here's a shortcut. Just go /online. It'll take you right to the online resources. Now, I mentioned earlier about the study group, the Search for God study group. You can go to edgarcayce.org and then you'll see Edgar Cayce there. If you click on that and go down to study groups, you can also get to it through, I believe, the About Us. You'll see study groups. Click on that, that takes you to the Search for God. We have online Search for God study groups. You don't have to go anywhere. There's also a Facebook page. Just if you just put in the Facebook thing, Edgar Cayce online study group, Search for God study group. Now, one of the resources I really like is the YouTube. If you go, there's Edgar Cayce TV. So if you put Edgar Cayce TV, if you go to YouTube, put Edgar Cayce TV, and there are tons of free content, hours and hours and hours of free content. There's also, you can get to it through, again, going back to that Edgar Cayce tab, go down to Edgar Cayce Reflection Show. That's a TV show. You'll see mostly Peter Woodbury interviewing different guests, like our favorite John Van Auken. Now, there's also this digital copy. If you can't find it on the website, just email them, and they'll send it to you. I found it really, really helpful. I hope you found this helpful. I hope that you have found some resources for yourself. Because in order to be the best you on a spiritual level, it's so important to keep our physical body, our mind, and our spirit healthy. Remember, we started out with Casey saying that basically body, mind, and spirit and soul, they're all part of our oneness. And the more that we can connect with that oneness, the more that we can be in our fullness, the more we'll be able to deal with all that's going on right now. Blessings. Thank you.